Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Zheng Cao, a professor. I'm a professor of Chinese language, and right now I'm the Chinese language program. I'm the director, and I'm the staff, and I'm everybody of that program. And the program is small, but program has been strong, and it has to remain strong. It's so important. So we need support from everybody here, and please tell everybody else to support the language program on campus and also all the programs in humanities, which are so important for the education of the whole person. It's very, very important. And before proceeding to our seminar today, where I have a couple of recognitions to make, and on behalf of the students and audience here, I would like to thank the Central and Southwest Asia Studies Center for sponsoring this conference. It provides a platform where students and scholars can hear and exchange their views and ideas on issues related to this area. And special thanks to Dr. Merida Kia. I think he's in the classroom right now. Professor Adi Kia. And also a special thanks to the Chinese program here, the Chinese program, and other units and departments on campus which co-sponsor this event. And today, I feel so honored to chair this session, for which we have three speakers. And two of the speakers are from Shanghai International Studies University. And one speaker is from the Social Academy of the Shanghai Municipality, and who is also a senior fellow of the Middle East Institute of Shanghai International Studies University. That's one of the reasons why he is here. And I mentioned a few things about Shanghai International Studies University yesterday. And well, as I mentioned yesterday, that it is a highly prestigious university in the nation. Well, actually, it's one of the three top universities in international studies in China. And they train and educate highly skilled people, not only in the field of politics or government, and such as I think I mentioned was CCTV yesterday. Half of the anchors and anchors are trained in Shanghai International Studies University. So they have a school of journalism, and not only CCTV, but also China Daily, Radio Beijing, Good Morning Shanghai. Well, 7 years ago, Dr. Kia Merida and myself and two other faculty members went to Shanghai for a visit. 7 o'clock in the morning, we turn on TV. Well, here it is, Good Morning Shanghai. So that's a foreign language, English news program, and broadcasting all kinds of news, not only happening domestically, but also around the world. And both the anchor and anchoress were trained in Sisu. And then we switched to another channel, which is a channel from a neighboring province, that's Zhejiang province. And they have a similar foreign language news program. You know, who are those people trained? And they are trained in Shanghai International Studies University. And we have a close tie to the United Nations in New York. And we also have close ties with different organizations around the world, which are branches of the United Nations. And with the United Nations, there is a very important service, which is called simultaneous interpretation service. And who trained those interpreters, professional interpreters? And half of the people who are working in different organizations with the United Nations are trained at the International Studies University in Shanghai. And so they have college, and that college is doing nothing but train professionals in the field of translation, that's in writing, and also they train professionals who are doing simultaneous interpretations. And then we also have an international law school. As I mentioned last night, well, we trained international judges and dealing with the international problems, issues in all kinds of courts in different fields. And then we also trained, so we have another college which is called College of International Finance and Economics. And there's a special department which is called International Accounting. And as I mentioned last night, well, the dean of the School of Business went and visited that particular college. Actually, their dean was here 4 months ago on this campus talking about cooperation and exchange programs. And then we also have an international MBA program in that university, at the Shanghai International Studies University. So they train professionals not only in the other areas, but also in the business world. So there is a CEO programs in Shanghai, and for Shanghai and also for neighboring provinces such as Zhejiang Province, Jiangsu Province, Anhui Province, and Fujian Province. And so that international, we call it International Center for MBA Program, serves all those neighboring provinces. And we established faculty exchange relationship with that center too. So far, we have already sent 3 professors from this university over there to teach. And they are going to send students over to take summer schools and then regular summer schools. And also, they will be here for 1 semester or 1 year exchange programs. Last summer, when I went over there to visit Sisu, I met with the new president. And they have a new president too. And that president used to be the vice president of Beijing University. So Beijing University is not one of the top university in China. It's like a Harvard in China. So he used to serve as a vice president of Beijing University. And from June last year, he was appointed as the president of Shanghai International Studies University. So we had a chat in his office, and he said, Professor Cao, well, this is an international studies university, and our goal for our students to have an international experience should be, take a guess, what's the percentage? Take a guess. And what's the percentage on this campus? Somewhere between 5, around 5. And President Li, the new president of Sisu, and he said we should do that at 100%. 100%. Well, actually, at that university, for some schools, colleges, especially the College of Arabic Language and Culture, and their percentage is 128%. What does that mean? That means some of the students, they have had international experience during their years, not just once, twice, and sometimes 3 times. So we really need to catch up. And we talk a lot about globalization. And it should not be just talk, and we should do it. And one way of doing it, we need to strengthen instead of weakening our international programs, instead of including language programs and all other programs in global education, in humanities, and we should do that. And Sisu, they are doing this. And right now they say we can save money in some other aspects, but we should not save money on the global education in our students, especially our university is International Studies University. So they invested a lot, okay? And so far, they have sent 23 students on our way, and all of the 23 students were on our dean's list when they left. So they were here either for 1 semester or 1 year. All of them, no exception, 23, all of them were on dean's list. And that means their GPA for their stay here is a 3.5 or above. And then about 2/3 of them, I think it's about, I don't know how many, 16 or 17 of them, and their GPA is a 4.0 at the University of Montana. So we really should strive for the excellence of education in our students. And we should not just talk, and we should do it. And they have all kinds of very good academic programs. Right now, they are teaching 37 foreign languages, 37. And they teach you Persian, right? Arabic, Hebrew, what else? In the Middle East region, they are teaching a lot. And then for most of those 37 language programs, and they have a PhD programs, and not just minors or majors. And they have a master's degrees, and they have a PhD degrees. And that university is really in the forefront in that area, in the whole nation, probably not just in the whole nation, it's in the whole world. And we really should catch up. And it's a very good, and it's a very fortunate for University of Montana to have that kind of relationship with that privileged university, so that we can learn from them and we can catch up. And so hopefully everybody here, talk with your friends, talk with your peer students to take Chinese. And we have a very good programs with exchange programs with all kinds of, not just with CSU, and also with some other universities in China. And I personally negotiated with the parents of different universities so that they give us a free scholarship and free lodging, and it will be very good. So please do that. Today we have 3 speakers. On my right side is Professor and Dr. Yu Jianhua. And thank you. As I mentioned, that he is here. The reason he's here, he's not just the director and professor of the Social Academy of Shanghai Municipality, and he's also a senior fellow at the Middle East Research Center at Shanghai International Studies University. Well, he has had great experience where he got his bachelor's degree in Eastern China Normal University, which is one of the 2 top universities in China in normal education. And normal universities means universities, they are specialized in training, teaching all kinds of teachers or professors in education. And so he graduated from that, and then later on he got a master's degree in that university, and he got a PhD degree in international relationships. And then after that, well, he has had some international experience, and he went to either Germany for 1 year as a visiting professor, and then he also went to Netherlands for a year as an exchange professor. And he went almost all over the world for all kinds of international conferences, such as this. And he published more than 10 books in the area of international relationships, and in the Middle East, and in Jewish studies, and especially the Jewish studies in Shanghai. And from 1920s all the way to the end of the 40s, in Shanghai we had a huge Jewish community. And at one time, the population of Jewish in Shanghai reached to as high as almost 200,000 Jewish people. It's really, really high in Shanghai. And so we have a special study center on this. And a few years ago, we even set up a museum in this area. So if you have a chance to go to Shanghai, you can look him up, and he will give you a guide to tour that museum and to let you know what's happening in between 1920 and late 40s. And his topic today will be, let's see, evolution of a situation in Middle East and exploring the major power diplomacy with the Chinese characteristics. And that's his topic. And the second speech is on my right side. He is Dr. Li Yi. And currently, he serves as associate professor, and also he is the director of the office of a very well-known magazine in China. It's called Journal of Arabic World Studies, for which we have an editorial board, and Dr. Merida Kia, that was 4 years ago, and he was invited to serve on that editorial board. And it's a great honor, not only for him as a person, but it's also an honor for the University of Montana. So she is the director, and her topic will be some aspects on the think tanks in the Arabic countries. And the last speaker for today is Yao Chen. And right now he is a PhD candidate. And as a matter of fact, he is a student of Dr. Well, here, we have here, Wang, Dr. Wang here. He has taken or trained lots of doctoral students in China. And his topic will be China's soft balancing strategy against the U.S. in the Middle East. And what we'll do is that we will do presentations according to that sequence. And as we did yesterday, let's hold off our questions until the end of this panel discussion. And then once you ask questions, please keep the questions brief. And then would you please direct your questions to one of these three speakers. And thank you very much. Dr. Yu.
Thank you, Chair. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. As you see, I'm an appreciator for Professor Cao introduce me. Now, I would like to give you our unity briefly introduce. As you see, Shanghai, I'm from Shanghai Academy of Social Sciences. This year is 60th anniversary for Academy founded. It's founded 1948. We called it SAS, Shanghai Academy Social Sciences. It is the China's oldest institution for humanity and social science, and also is the largest one outside the capital of Beijing. And it also is a leading think tank and a distinguished academic institution in China. Thus, our academy has 17 institutes. My Institute of International Relations is one of 17 institutes. This institute was founded 2012. It's based on two previously regional studies institute. One of is Institute of Asia Pacific Studies. The another is Institute of Eurasia Studies. I have honor have been as director this institute. As our academy, subordinately body, our as just mentioned above, our academy is 25 top think tank of the state. As a subordinate body, now our institute deal with many policy studies on China-international relations, strategic and global governance. Currently, our institute have 45 staffs. They divide into 66 research departments. One is international relations series. The second is international security. The third is regional cooperation. The fourth is Great Power Strategic. The fifth is Chinese diplomacy. The last is international culture. And also, there are honor of international relations studies. After I give you my academy and our institute brief introduce, I would like to give you my lecture. My lecture title is Evolution of the Situation in Middle East and Exploring the Major Power Diplomacy with Chinese characteristics. This lecture divided into 4 parts. One part is an overall evolution of situation in Middle East. As I see, at present and coming years, Middle East situation determined by factors inside and outside region. In the terms of international system, trend hinges on adjustment of 4 international strategic forces of their Middle East policy. It's limited United States, but United States is the most notable changing. Trump's policy and its impact, I think, is most significant. The second is Russia. Russia's efforts in return to Middle East and Russia, United States gambling in the region. I think we must pay attention. The third is EU, European Union. Now it's plagued with the multi-polar crisis. It's difficulty to exert further influence in Middle East. The last, I think, it's the larger developing countries like China, of course, include India and so on, are now playing more and more significant roles in posing constructive diplomacy in Middle East. Internal factors of Middle East are more crucial than Cold War area, which means now situation Middle East mainly depends on consists of 2 levels. One is the relation between countries in the region. And the another is individual countries' domestic governance. They get intertwined and have produced various regional hot spots. Situation in the regional continue to the changing and develop, especially since the Jasmine Revolution, as you know, in the end of 2010 in Tunisia. Arab Spring regarded as the process towards modernized democracy. Now it's critical sized by more and more called as Arab Winter. The large scale and complex political upheaval involving major Arabian countries will continue in the context of profound and tough social transformation. So, as I see, the current strategic power distribution and international structure in the region now are in transformation process from reconstruction to rebalancing. With unrest and pain, the regional Middle East, will move along the track of changing leading to turbulence, will lose forging from turbulence. With different internal factors include political, religious, ethnic, tribal, regional, cultural factors playing roles, as well as various external factors taking effects. Old and new hotspot issues will intertwine, reflecting a series of conflicts between democracy and people's livelihood, religion and secularity, reform and conservatism, radicalism and modernism, extremism and also authoritarianism, terrorism and counter-terrorism. Terrorism issue is our focus, my studies. The order forging will be full of contradictions and obstacles. So, in my opinion, the future Middle East power structure will be full of volatility and uncertainty. Now I turn to my lecture second part. I think I can more simply. I say in the Middle East situation development, we maybe pay attention 6 focus. The first is Syria crisis after the Battle of Aleppo. The implications to Syria crisis and the Middle East changing the political landscape and geopolitical games of countries should not be underestimated. The second is IS, Islamic State. Infringement will resort to underground multiple terrorist attacks occurred, as you see, especially in EU, such as France, England, Belgium, and so on. IS moved its headquarters from Iraq, Syria to Libya, Afghanistan, and so on. The third focus is the implementation of the Iran nuclear deal is worry. As you see, Trump strongly opposed the deal, will abolish and substantially suspend the deal. The fourth focus is the Yemen crisis. I think it's a power struggle or geopolitical strategic rivalry in Middle East, reflecting the ongoing struggle between two egos. One is Sunni Saudi Arabia, the another is Syria Iran. The Syria crisis is one of such reflection. While Yemen crisis since 2014, often called as proxy war, may be recently situation in Qatar and Lebanon. The fifth focus is ongoing Israel-Palestinian conflict. All factors involved showed the possibility of the conflict escalation. The sixth, also its last focus, is told yesterday our Professor Wang talked. Its direction of Quds independence from Iraq to the Turkey. In my opinion, six focus above, including old and new problems in national building and management of regional hotspots, are facets of Middle East complex situation. Now we turn to the third part of our lecture. Is contemporary China's relations with Middle East. Friendship between China and the Middle East country, we can date back to the ancient time. Over 2,000 years ago, land and maritime Silk roads already link the Chinese and Middle East. The founding of the People's Republic of China in 1949 and the independence of Middle East states create a new era for friendly exchanging of both. From 1946 to 1992, China established diplomatic relations with all Middle East states. Why? In 1946, China has made diplomatic relations with Egypt. This is the first country in the Middle East, in the Arabic world. And in 1992, is the last country with China set up its diplomacy, which yesterday he told Israel state. So, after the Cold War, both China and Arab countries respected and treated as equals each other, and deepening traditional friendship and bilateral relations. Cooperation in political, economic, cultural, and other fields has achieved fruitful results. I think this page we can skip. Yes, I means this in that, I want to say, China has built a strategic partnership with many Middle East states, attach the great importance to relations with the legal Arabic states, and a strategic dialogue mechanism with GCC, Gulf countries Council. Arab countries plus Iran has become the China's biggest supplier of crude oil and main trade partner. Now I want to say how to see the diplomacy development of China in Middle East. In recent years, China has actively participated in Middle East issue. He plays an increasingly important and constructive role. Now I want to turn to my key part this lecture. Is China's new Middle East diplomacy with its critical stickers. Yes. The current and future development of China-Middle East diplomacy is mainly affected by three factors. The first is China's domestic development. When the key needs improve its international relations and international influence and to expand its overseas interests, China has proposed the Belt and the Road Initiative. One Belt and One Road, as you know, initiative. In the pursuit of linking internal and external development, Middle East just locating in the intersection region of the Belt and the Road construction. So it's an important strategic plate. The secondly, factors of China's new Middle East diplomacy is as an important link in China all around diplomacy, include its developing countries diplomacy, neighboring country diplomacy, great poor and multilateral diplomacy. I think Middle East diplomacy serves all of needs of China's peace for development. The third and the last factors is as a responsible emerging global power, China should play a more constructive role in contributing solutions to hotspots in this global geopolitical plate. Just as I said, in 1946, China with Egypt set diplomacy relations. From then to 2016, it's just 60 years. I said it has been 60 years since China and Egypt established diplomatic relations. The period also witnessed various stages with ups and downs of China diplomacy towards Middle East. At the beginning of the 2016, why I chose this year? Because in this year, our President Xi Jinping visited 3 Middle East great poor. They are Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and Iran. President Xi delivered a speech at Cairo. Before Xi's visit, Chinese government issued China's Arabia policy paper, and Xi also gave another speech in 2014 in the 6th ministry meeting of China-Arabic Cooperation Forum. I say these just above mentioned visits and speeches means opening a new page in the China's Middle East diplomacy. It's a striving and enterprising Middle East diplomacy with China's characteristics in the next 60 years. It's a continuation of China's pursuit peaceful development, an independent foreign policy, peace and friendly cooperation with all sides on the basis of 5 principles of peaceful coexistence. Its policies are full of formulated independent on the basis of merits of issues and fundamentally interests of peoples in Middle East. Instead, looking for proxy, seeking any sphere and influence, or attempting to fill vehicle Middle East, China building a cooperative partnership network for mutual benefits and win-win results, holding high the banner of creating community, a sure future destiny. China plays an active role in Middle East on basis of justice and rightness. Sino-Arabian relations are main parts of China's Middle East diplomacy. China will continue to develop the Sino-Arabian relations on the basis of secular spirits of peace and cooperation, openness, inclusiveness, mutual learning, and mutual benefits. China and Arab countries are natural partners in construction in One Belt, One Road. Both has established the 1+2+3 cooperative pattern. It means one is energy cooperation as a principal axis. The two is infrastructure construction, and another is the facilitation of trade and investment. The three is means cooperation in 3 major high-tech fields, include nuclear power, space, satellite, and new energy in breakthrough. Now, at last, before I end my lecture, I will give manual conclusion. In the new area of world transformation and turbulence in region, China, as emerging responsible global power, should play a corresponding role in Middle East, one of key global strategic plays. Well, the transferring from all low-profile diplomacy to active and ambitious major powers diplomacy, China should maintain and promote its own futures, stick to its own choices, principles, priorities, and behaviors style to act within its capability. It means, say, China's how to say, plan, China's wisdom, and so on. So China will pursue constructive major power diplomacy in the effort to become one constructive, practical, and responsible power in promoting stability and prosperity in Middle East. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you, Professor Yu. And the next presentation will be given by Professor Li Yi, and her topic will be some aspects on the think tanks in the Arabic countries.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share with you something about think tanks in Arabic countries. My lecture's name is Some Aspects on the think tanks in Arabic countries. Arab regional think tanks are often confronted with similar issues because of the common history, languages, and races. This paper takes the Gulf countries, the Sham region, and the North African countries as examples to analyze the characteristics of Arab regional think tanks. The Gulf think tanks enjoy a good economic environment and a rich cultural background. They give priority to building bridges between knowledge and power, playing active roles in promoting regional countries' foreign policy, in state economy, in mass media, and in education. The Sham think tanks are mostly independent institutions. They make full exchanges on the key points of the reform and unify their thoughts to optimize government decision-making process using conferences and meetings. In North Africa countries, Egyptian think tanks have a high degree of internationalization, having close contacts with think tanks and research institutions in other countries. The Maghreb think tanks are always concerned with the regional situation and focus on studying it. In short, the Arab think tank serve their governments by providing intellectual support and political suggestions for the development of their countries. In the dynamic global structure, think tanks play an important role in global collaboration, narrowing the gap between knowledge and placemaking. Think tanks which promote a national software and international discourse power are an important part of national governments. In Arab in Arab world, regional think tanks are especially prominent because of the shared history, language, and race. They calibrate on cross-border policymaking issues. These networks help facilitate translational values in policy analysis as well as professional skills. Furthermore, such networks have become a type of governance model since they promote public-private partnership. Oh, yes. Firstly, think tanks in the Gulf countries. The think tanks of the 8 Gulf countries can be categorized into 2 types. One type has developed economic power, especially those in Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and Qatar, in which think tanks have a royal connection through support from the king or the emir. Therefore, they have made great progress and enjoy a good reputation in the region. The other type values public opinion and academia, like those in Iraq, which emphasize research within college and university environments. Furthermore, some are established by non-governmental organizations, such as those in Yemen, and combine public service and fundamental research. This is the table of think tanks in Gulf countries. And some main think tanks. For example, Saudi Arabia, well-funded, focused on Islamic studies and regional development. And main think tanks, Gulf Research Center, yeah. United Arab Emirates, well-funded, has royal support. For example, the Emirates Center for Strategic Studies and Research. Qatar, strong economic support. Government emphasize the construction of think tanks. For example, Al Jazeera Center for Studies. Kingdom of Bahrain, with a revolving door mechanism to ensure exchange between the royal family and academia. For example, Bahrain Center for Studies and Research. Kuwait focused on the study of regional economic development and the country's civilization and history. For example, Arab Planning Institute. And Oman, a think tank construction only recently started. Quality and quantity are relatively under development. For example, Tawassul. Iraq, a rich cultural background, think tank construction started early through many colleges and universities. For example, Al-Faraj Center for Development and Strategic Studies. Yemen, mostly non-governmental organizations relying on public opinion services service to carry out research. For example, Yemen Polling Center. Some analysis about think tanks in Gulf states. Analysis. Most Gulf countries' think tanks have close relation with the government. They are supported by national foundations or royal family members and enjoy a well-known reputation in the Arab world and further abroad. With the exception of Yemen and Oman, these think tanks have operated fairly well and continue to develop rapidly due to the region's economic strength. Attaching great importance to policy research, they attempt to provide diplomatic strategies and policy proposals to their respective governments and the regional coalition building. Furthermore, they have played an active role in promoting the foreign policy, national economy, mass media, and education of the Gulf countries. Next one, think tanks in the Sham region. The Sham region consists of 4 countries that can be separated into two categories: politically stable states and turbulent states. Politically stable countries such as Jordan enjoy a rich cultural background and conduct far-reaching research. They often established the think tanks earlier and focus on the study of contemporary Arab ideology, economic development, national security, and other issues. On the other hand, think tanks in turbulent states are most focused on security and political issues. For example, the think tanks in Palestine are mainly concerned about the settlement of the Palestinian question, as well as the development trends of regional peace. Some of the leaders in Syrian think tanks are important figures in the foreign opposition and focus their research on domestic political, economic, social, and security issues. The table is about think tanks in the Sham region countries. The first one is Jordan. Jordan focused on the dissemination of contemporary Arab thought. For example, Arab Thought Forum. Lebanon has several Arab branches of American think tanks focused on studying the entire region. For example, Center for Arab Unity Studies, Syria, concerned about national strategies of politics, economy, and culture, as well as the demands for human rights and justice. For example, Study Center of Syrian State Strategies and Policies. Palestine, concerned about Palestinian Israeli conflict with the main task of promoting peace in the Middle East. For example, study Center for Palestinian International Affairs. And there are some analysis about Sham region countries. Generally, the think tanks in the Sham region are mostly civil and independent institutions. In contrast to government dependent think tanks in the Gulf. In political stable countries, think tanks provide intellectual support and policy advice to governments by establishing effective communication and interaction mechanisms with government leaders. These think tanks share relevant background information for national policy making and provide insightful advice for policy debate. For turbulent states, particularly during social transformation and political reform periods, think tanks convene symposiums, prepare working reports, and gather decent opinions on key points in the reform agenda. This ensures unification of diverse opinions and presentation of a range of options to reshape policies for a rapidly changing political landscape. The Sham think tanks promote innovation thinking and a constructive public discussion mechanism in order to optimize the government decision-making process and provide references for policy makings in the Arab world. And the third one is the think tanks is in Northern Africa. Think tanks in Northern Africa often have an international or non-Arab dimension due to countries' colonial history as well as geographic location. Egyptian think tanks are the most international among the Arab think tanks, with specific intent on maintaining close contacts with think tanks and research institutions all over the world. Highlighting the regional political influence of Egypt, these think tanks play a leading role in the Arab world, both in quantity and quality of research. The Maghreb coalition is made up of the countries whose think tanks focus on regional dilemmas and solutions. These states share a history of French colonial subjugation and use more French than Arabic because of colonial policies that imposed French language and culture, even during the post-independence period. Although some think tanks' websites are in French, these think tanks are still committed to national and regional strategies and forward-looking research. They are not only concerned about the sustainable development of culture and education, but also attend to social transformation, political development, and regional relations. This is the table of think tanks in the Sham region, in Northern Africa, and the Sham region, Egypt. High degree of internationalization provide intellectual support for government decision making in economic, social, and political reform. For example, Al-Ahram Politics and Strategic Research Center, Morocco, focused on national political and social development, researches on the multilateral relations between the Maghreb and Mediterranean coast states. For example, Amadeus Institute, Tunisia, concerned about Maghreb regional issues and multilateral relations of the Mediterranean coast states. For example, Tunis Strategic Institute, Algeria, concerned about the political and economic relations and cultural ties between the Maghreb countries and the Mediterranean region of Europe. For example, Institute of Global Strategic Institute. Libya started late, with most established after the Gaddafi regime fell, committed to the process of social democratization of Libya. For example, Sadiq Institute. Mauritania, limited in number, provide intellectual support to promote social transformation and national revitalization of Mauritania. For example, Mauritania Center for Research and Strategic Studies. Some analysis about think tanks in the Northern Africa. Since new problems and conflicts have arisen in the process of political reconstruction and economic and social development in Egypt and in Maghreb countries, think tanks play an increasingly important role in the political decision-making process. They can provide early warnings for medium and long-term social issues and offer international experience for countries to lift themselves from the economic crisis and move towards recovery. And this is the conclusion for the whole paper. Compared to European and American think tanks in Arabic countries still lack in independent research and global influence because of their recent establishment and small scale. With increasingly awareness and political participation by the public, scholars, and researchers, the government relies more heavily on these think tanks. Think tanks in the Gulf region, well financed by the government, build a steady bridge between knowledge and power. Think tanks in the Sham region, rich with cultural heritage and innovative ideas, give strong support in decision-making to governments, political parties, and large enterprises. Think tanks in North Africa focus on regional situation research and provide early warnings on midterm and long-term Arab social issues. Despite the different research focus, they all serve state power in domestic strategic planning, policy formulation, promotion of public governance, and participants in international affairs. That's all for my presentation. Thank you for listening.
Well, Mr. Yao Quan will be our last speaker, and his topic is China's soft balancing strategy against the U.S. in the Middle East.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Quan Yao. I am a PhD student from Middle East Studies Institute, Shanghai International Studies University. Just as Professor Cao mentioned, I am the only student among the speakers. So it's a great honor for me to have the opportunity to make a presentation here, University of Montana. And in the meantime, I'm still nervous because it's my first time to take part in the international conference. And my supervisor, Professor Wang, just sitting in the audience. Tell you the truth, my hand is cold right now. And today my topic is China's soft balancing strategy against the US in the Middle East. And this presentation was divided into 4 parts. And the first one is the introduction, which refers to why I choose this topic. And the second one is the analysis framework. And the third one is I will use this analysis framework to explain China's major soft balancing measures. And due to the risk of hard balance is rising, and how to prevent the soft balance turn to the hard balance. Okay, let's enter to the introduction. As we all know, the Middle East has always been an important area for the game of great powers. So how does rising China deal with the dominant US? I read an article by the Israel scholar named Madurki. He regarded Chinese and Russian vetoes in the United Nations Security Council in the Syria crisis as a soft balancing strategy against the US. So inspired of that view, I collected and read some articles about the soft balancing strategy. And I found that this strategy includes so many measures. Veto is just one of them. So let's move to the analysis framework. Robert Pape, he proposed the soft balance strategy include 4 indicators. The first one is territorial denial. Because you know, great powers often benefit from the access to the territory of the third parties as staging as staging areas for their ground, air, or naval forces when they attacked another state. And denial the supervisor to the access will reduce the prospect of their victory. And the second one is entangling diplomacy. And it refers to using international institutions and temporary diplomacy to obstruct the dominant power's goals. And the third one is economic strengthening. The second states will strengthen their economic power through regional trading blocs will exclude from the great powers. And the last one is signals of resolve to balance. The second states will demonstrate their resolve to resist the superior state's future ambition. So I will use these three indicators, except the first one, to explain China's major soft balance measures. And the first one is use of the UN vetoes, votes. Since China was restored to its rightful seat in UN Security Council, the vetoes it used has been the least among the 5 Security Council members. And in recent years, China gave so many vetoes in Syria crisis. According to the incomplete statistics, China gave 7 vetoes about the Syria crisis. And last Tuesday, I give an example. Last Tuesday, there are 3 draft resolutions rejected. The first one penned by the US, and China gave abstention. And the other 2 are penned by Russia. And China gave fair. So we can see that China is stand with the Russia against the US. And the second one is established China-Arab States Cooperation Forum. This forum was established in 2004, and after more than 10 years development, this forum is become more and more measured. And it seems like a South-South cooperation, maybe against the US, is one of their goals. And this forum is an effective way of China to project its ability and powers in the Middle East. And the third one is promote the expansion of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. This organization was established in 2001, initiated by China, and at the beginning it focused on Central Asia, but it continued to expand. And for the Middle East, Iran as an observer state of the SCO, and Turkey as a dialogue partner of the SCO. Both of them applied to join the SCO as a full member, and China supported that. And the economic strengthening, I will show you 2 graphics. And the first one is the comparison of the trade between China Middle East and the US Middle East from 2007 and 2016. We can see that very obviously since the 2009, the trade between China and the Middle East has surpassed the US. And the second graphic is bilateral trade. We can see that except Israel, China's trade volume with other Middle East countries is greater than that of the United States. And signals of resolve to balance. Yeah, in 2016, just Professor Yu has just mentioned, the Chinese government issued China's Arab policy paper. It said that support each other on issues of core interests or major concern between China and the Arab world. And after the paper released 1 week, President Xi Jinping paid a state visit to Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and Iran, and explored China's Middle East foreign policy. And the third one is China established an overseas base in Djibouti. It's the first overseas base for China. And the last one, joint military exercise. China and Russia held a joint military exercise in Mediterranean in 2015. And China and Iran held another joint military exercise in Perth Gulf in 2017. You see, this joint military exercise is very far from the China homeland. But all these actions, China will demonstrate its determination to safeguard his interest in the Middle East. So, where a state choose soft balance or hard balance, according to the He Kai and Feng Huiyun arguments, they believe that it depends on the economic dependence and power disparity and the interactions of the two factors. So we can see this picture proposed by the two scholars. For China and U.S., they have become the largest trading partner with each other, and the economic dependence is the highest in the world. But the power gap between the two countries is gradually narrowing. So the risk of hard balance, according to this structure, is rising. So how to prevent the soft balance turn to hard balance? The first one is respecting the status of the U.S. as a global super military power. You can see this chart. The defense budget top 10 in 2017. The U.S. is the number 1, and its defense budget exceeds the other 9 countries. So it's very hard for China to give hard balance to the U.S. And the second one, we need to maintain a high economic independence between China and the U.S. because it can increase the cost of hard balance and ease the strategic tension between the two countries. And this third one is China emphasize practical solution of the hot issues in the Middle East. Include President Xi Jinping and every top leader in China and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. They all insist the principal position is the political solution is the only realistic way to solve these hot issues. And China is ready with all parties to explore a political solution. Thank you. This is my presentation. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, all of you. And now the discussion is open to the general audience for questions. As I mentioned at the very beginning, please keep the questions short, and please direct your questions to one of those three speakers. Yeah, I will just use this microphone. Would you please raise your hand if somebody has a question?
I was wondering, will the Beijing government continue to resist the independence of the Hong Kong people who want more, not less, directions from the direct government in Beijing?
Well, actually, this question is not very much related to this panel discussion, but does any of the speakers want to address that question?
Yes, Dr. Lee, how would you compare the think tanks in the United States to those that are in the Middle East? Do you have an opinion, or have you looked at that? I mean, my thought is that that ours are political. It's one party or the other. So I don't know that we have think tanks that are non-political, looking just at for the good of everybody.
现在回答吗？
对。
In my opinion, think tanks in United States, it is a strong one. And the history of think tanks in United States is so long, and some of the think tanks in United States have good relationship, make a good relationship between the academia and governments. But in Arabic countries, there are many differences between those countries. Some of them have rapid progress in think tanks, but some of them establish think tanks in recent years. It is a new thing. New thing in the Arabic countries compared to in United States, I think.
First of all, I'd like to express my appreciation to your informative presentation as always. I have one question for Professor Li. That you, yeah, I can't wait to the end. Yeah, you mentioned that there is a kind of good close relationship between the Saudi Arabia's think tanks and the Saudi Arabia's royal family and the government. Could you like to give us an example of this part of this phenomena? Thank you.
Your meaning is revolting door mechanisms, and the typical example is in Bahrain. In Bahrain, the think tank's mission was to serve Bahrain's social work by using application research to provide a consultant service to contract clients and to supply political insight to Gulf country leaders. And most importantly, the board of the center in Bahrain, including its chief executives and director and chief secretary, was composed of 9 members from the main departments of Bahrain government, fully embodying its political background, I think.
Hello, my question is about the balance of power that you were mentioning, China's balance of power. You pulled up the fact that the US defense budget is 5 times bigger than the next country. Do you think that the US, in your opinion, do you think that America's military is so large that it hinders negotiations with other countries because it seems like we only have military desires, or do you think it is a useful tool that can help the country, I don't know, stay safe, or, you know, just used for diplomacy, I guess?
Yeah, I think if a country, if he is developed it, he has a huge economic power, he will to transfer the huge economic power into huge military power. I think China will go this way, like this. So, but the important thing is how to use the military powers. We failed to use it out of control. Like the 2003, the U.S. attacked Iraq without permission with the UN. And so many countries in the international community opposite that, but it do that. So if like that is out of control, and it will irritate so many countries and get together to use the soft balancing strategy, and even then maybe go to the hard balancing strategy. Maybe the world war is like this happen. Thank you. It's just my own opinion. Thank you.
I wrote this down so I could do it faster, and I can't use a microphone. For Dr. Yu, considering China's growing diplomatic role in the Middle East, will the Chinese government's political attacks on China's Uyghur population serve as an indicator for the nature of Chinese diplomacy and intervention in the Middle East? This includes in the Xinjiang province. I believe that's the proper province, but including political attacks on Uyghur professors and mass surveillance of Uyghur populations generally. Is this something that regarding that the Uyghur population is predominantly Muslim, is this something that we are going to see reflected in China's interactions and diplomacy with predominantly Muslim nations in the Middle East?
I need thank you. Maybe I need help. What's the question?
就说中国它的那个外交政策，在中东的外交政策，然后呢，跟新疆本地的那个政策联系起来讲，就中国在新疆镇压，然后呢限制那些知识分子一些活动，然后对他们进行监督打击，然后这个呢，从大的方面来讲，有没有对因为他们这边都是那个伊斯兰人，然后呢，是不是对那个在中东的外交政策会不会有影响？
Right. Thank you. I think this question. There are many peoples interested in this. Indeed, as we know, there are many Muslim. Yes, the many people in Middle East. But in China, it's only parts, small parts, about 20,000. 20,000. Oh, yes, 25 minutes. I think it's almost take no more than 10% of totally people of China. Mainly in western region of our country. I think, indeed, it consists a part of Middle East policy of a country. But our country policy to Middle East is kind with the policy domestic aims. They are common places. They are striving to peaceful and prosperity. So I think in our domestic policy, Chinese policy is push and leading our people to strive to build good living and high product of society for uplifting the living standards of people. And in Middle East, our policy aims is also to promote the development, and we strive to salvation of disputes or regional hotspots. So I think there are the same. There have great companies in between Chinese diplomacy policy to Middle East and Chinese government in domestic policy. Thank you.
Thank you for 3 very interesting papers and lectures. I have a question for all of you. Here we think of the Middle East as a place of oil, energy, oil, but we know that oil will run out. And the future is renewable energy, solar. and renewable sources of energy. Is China interested in the Middle East to help with that transition between oil and renewable energy in this century?
Think you ask, China has energy interests in Middle East. As I mentioned, China has important energy industry in Middle East. The Middle East, especially the Gulf states, Saudi Arabia and Arab Union Emirates and Iraq's army, and so on, plus Iran is greater, is conquest, consists the greater, the biggest region of our imported crude oil. I think we need this imported. This country need this crude oil export. And you say it's very, I think it's very, it's, how to say, it's wisdom. In the future, not only China, but also this country is need reasonable or new energy. So I say, we have set policy patterns of Middle East is 1+2+3. Mainly part of is promote new energy, renewable energy, cleaner energy for not only our country, but also this country for a more clear society, more successful society development. So I think your question is very good. Thank you.
And what I want to add is that, as far as I know, so many Middle East countries, just like Saudi Arabia, they want to transfer their development type from oil-based to other development. And except for the Professor Yu has mentioned, you know that very famous one road, one belt covers so many Middle East countries. They will take money, technology, and financial and the experiences of China's development to the Middle East countries. I think the perspective of the China and the Middle East is very very good perspective. And as I mentioned, the China with the Middle East countries, their trade volume has spread all the way. So not just the oil. Thank you.
Well, actually, in China, where they have a program in place, it was adopted 2 years ago. And they have a 14-year plan. So the plan is that by the year of 2030, they will stop making any vehicles which uses a petroleum energy. They will stop making any vehicles which uses a petroleum oil by year of 2030. So, and then right now they greatly reduce the number of those numbers and then increase the number that electric cars, and then by 2030 they will stop. It will continue to use for another 10 years, 15 years. So probably by the middle of this century, there won't be any petroleum vehicles at all.
What about the increasing issue with electronic car batteries leaking radioactive waste into landfills? Instead of the electronic battery.
Go back into the old days when the train engine was run by gas. Right? They tried to go back to the old model, use pressure, gas pressure. Yeah, it is very interesting. Any other questions? Okay, so that will conclude our. Oh, okay.
Thank you very much for the presentation this afternoon. My question is for Dr. Chen Yao. In light of China's cooperation, new, with the Middle East, and in partnership at times with Russia on the UN Security Council, how do you see their relationship in regard to their position on the Security Council expanding?
You mean, may I beg your pardon? Ali?
China, in your paper, and in its responsibilities on the UN Security Council, has now this new partnership that it's exploring with the Middle Eastern countries. And of course, and traditionally, it's also been with Russia in its voting powers on the Security Council. So in light of their new partnership and relationship with the Middle Eastern countries, how do you see them using the influence they have on the Security Council to forward matters in the Middle East?
Yeah. So the UN Security Council is an important institution for China to elaborate his positions, to play his role, because he's one of the 5 Security Council members. But but sometimes, just like several days ago, I mentioned in my PPT, and all the draft resolution was not adopted and rejected, but after several days later, the US and his alliance and Frank and the UK attacked Syria. And so we can see that maybe sometimes it cannot get the effectiveness. But China will always to insist its position is the political solution is the only realistic way to solve the problems. He denied to use military powers because he thinks that the military measures cannot solve the problem permanent And the talk and the discussion may be repeat and have a long process, but the result is the most sustainable. So we need to explore to the mechanism, including UN Security Council votes and other measures to solve the problems. Because in China's position, the Syrian war is a civil war. It needs to solve by their own nation and own people. Its own nation, own people will decide his own future. All the great powers outside the Middle East, it's not the key role in this area. If we want to play the role, we need to respect the UN, the vote in UN. So, because my knowledge is limited, so just let answer. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. And tonight at 7 o'clock, we'll have a keynote speech, and please will be here on time. It will start 7 o'clock. And thank you very much.